Tell me a little bit about what brought you here.
Well, your invite, and I just really am excited to just collaborate and speak and hear what other people in the fashion industry have going on, struggles, successes, and just inspiration. So that's what
Welcome.
I'm.
Well, you're definitely in the right place, so we're really excited to see you. Rodrigo, welcome.
Hello,
Hi, how are you today? Where are you
I'm good.
joining
How's
us from?
everybody? I'm joining from Honduras.
Honduras. I
Wow.
love that. All right, tell us a little bit about what brought you here.
Well, first of all, your invite. We've met a couple of times before, and basically to promote our business and make it grow, our fashion business. Basically, that's why I'm here. Learn from all of you guys.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. We're very excited. Vlad, great to see you.
Hey everybody, how are you
Tell,
doing?
tell us a little bit about what brought you here today. I mean, you're not in the fashion
Sure.
industry, but you have some really great intel, especially on the marketing side. So I think really exciting to see some different perspective today.
I'm not in the fashion industry, but I'm in technology and I'm in supply chain, which every fashion business requires, especially in these days, right? But yeah, just briefly about myself. Yeah, I've been in technology, and I am a technology business leader. Been in technology for many years. In my last two engagements, I've been part in big company turnarounds. In parallel, I actually own my private label food product, and in the past couple of years, I've been heavily focused on supply chain management, and I'm very passionate about leveraging technology to transform businesses. And I'm definitely interested to be in this call just because, yes, I want to know what challenges you guys have on the supply chain management, on the technology side, right, and see how these challenges can be overcome.
Thank you, Vlad. This is really great. Really excited to have you and really fortunate. Thank you. Rob, welcome. Where are you joining us from?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. What brought you here today?
I believe it was you on LinkedIn, but I'm not really sure.
I love it. Well, tell us a little bit about your business.
So I invented $1 Million Collar, which is like a collar stay, except it goes down the front of your shirt. So when you wear a shirt without a tie, it always looks amazing. So got your before and after there. And I also have Go Tieless, which is my own dress shirt with my technology already built in.
I love it. I just was actually browsing your product website last night, and I was really impressed. So we'll talk a little more about that in our discussion as well. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Mariva?
Oh, it's Maria Valencia.
Yeah, yes. Okay, because it's all merged together, so I
All
apologize.
merged together. I see
Yes.
that.
Hi, Maria. Welcome
Hi.
back. You are returning to our call, so I'm really excited to see you here in our calls. Do you want to just do a quick intro to our group while we're waiting for a few more people to join?
Of course. Maria Valencia, and I own Fresh Comfort Inc., and it's a product that caters to women with mobility issues. I have a couple of design patents, and it's really direct to consumer sales that drive my business.
Perfect. Well, welcome. I actually saw some of your product last night as well. So I'm really excited. We'll be highlighting some of the great things that you have done and share with this group. Great work so far. I mean, it looked excellent there. So welcome. Jessica, welcome to our call.
Hi.
How are you? Good to see
I'm
you
good.
again.
How are you?
Very good. Well, I know you are returning as well, so but I know you're going to be new to the group, so if you don't mind quickly just introducing yourself and the company before we start.
Hi, yes, I'm Jessie. I'm co-founder of Equals Human. I was hoping my business partner would hop on because this roundtable was really informative last time I was on, and then having a call with Yay afterwards was helpful, and then potentially moving forward. Just wanted to hop on another roundtable and just get more info. And we're a clothing line heavily involved with art and philanthropy. We've but we were around since 2019. We were doing mainly like events, and we were doing really well. But events just are way too much, and we're a clothing line. We're not an event company. So we are just trying to pivot and go online, and we have our stuff in a few stores, but it's just new territory, and we're trying to manage it.
Perfect. Thank you, Jessica. Really perfect for the introduction. Well, guys, we're just going to start right in. As people are going to join, Lisa will help me to invite them as well and welcome them. But meanwhile, I just wanted to kind of start off by welcome everybody to our roundtable event that happens every month on the first Tuesday of the month at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And today we're going to discuss the amplifying and visibility and market impact of private labels. However, it is also applicable to any house brand if you are not in the private label business, but more of a direct to consumer or potentially considering to go into wholesale. I do want to start off by really showing appreciation for you guys coming in on the call. I realize that you guys could be spending your time in many different ways today, but you chose to be here, so thank you. This call is not for me trying to sell you anything or lecture you on how things are done. This is a collaborative roundtable for us to discuss wins, challenges, and impacts of your business and learn from one another to get ideas and solutions we can put in place. So this is going to bring out as much value to all of us as we are going to participate and be able to put some input into our conversation today. I also want to welcome our my partner and a guest host, Sean. And he is not only a founder, a CEO, and an expert in marketing fashion businesses, but as well as a best-selling author who is truly was able to show different strategies how to bring your product to market and how to market it in a different unconventional ways. So Sean, welcome. I'd like to just introduce yourself to the group before we get started.
Well, I think you already did. So
Yay
tends to be thorough, and so I'll leave it at that. Thank you, and thanks for having me, Ye.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. And I'd just like to get a permission to record this for us to be able to share this with the community who is not able to join today due to the time zone or schedule conflicts. If everybody can give me thumbs up if I can record this, that would be great. Perfect. All right. So let's just jump right in. Today we are going to kind of talk about multiple different topics that talk about how to bring your product to market, what is the best way to create brand awareness, what would be some strategies that could be implemented, and as well as going back a little bit to the foundation of where do we really need to start before we actually start talking marketing. However, I'd like to take 5 minutes to just introduce myself, whoever who does not know me, who it is, and just probably received an invite. My name is Evgenia Alexandrovna Yushkova, or simply Yay. And I've been helping fashion brands and retail companies to build house and private label brands with lean design models, optimizing processes and eliminating waste, building supply chain and driving lean manufacturing, and have helped launch and optimize over 19 private label brands. Few of them included a national brands for big box retailers. Most of them generate over a few $1 million in sales in the first year of launch. My team and I not only focus in creating high-performing assortment, design, and product development, but also went through carefully evaluating end-to-end processes. And as a result, we optimize strategies, processes, and business models, resulting lowering operation costs and increasing bottom line profitability. What makes my experience unique and give me the authority to be here in front of you and speak today on the topic is that I've held executive roles in both manufacturing and retail sides of the fashion world. I know what it takes to craft assortments and pitches that not only make buyers say yes, but also how to do it on a tight budget. What we share is not just the theory today with you, it is a real practice experiences garnered from the years of hands-on experience. This is my passion since I was 4. I've dedicated over 25 years of this to the industry. And the roundtables that we house now every single month is really for us to be able to give back to the fashion community and be able to raise some awareness around the common challenges that we all share and help to strategize some solutions. Does everybody want to start? Are we excited? Sure. Yay! All right. Well, let's jump in right into the discussion points. I'd like to first start off discussing the topic of identifying your niche and the target audience. Identifying target audience in the niche is critical to success of your private label or house brand. Start by analyzing market trends and consumer behaviors to find gaps in market that aligns with your brand values and offerings. We conduct surveys, interviews, and analyze data to gain insight into your target audience preferences, demographics, and purchase behaviors. But the question that I would like to raise to the group is, what are the key steps do we think is to identify the profitable niche for your private label? Who would like to kind of jump in and share some of the insights on that question? Sean, I'm going to pick on you. So we can break some ice here.
The way I tell this to people all the time. I have more family members that started fashion brands than I have family members. It just seems like something that people do often. And it really depends because what ends up happening is a lot of times the experience that we all have, I probably have less of that than most people, is you start somewhere in the corporate world, you're working in some company and you have a certain budget that you're dealing with, and you'll hear people talk and say, "Oh yeah, I was dealing with a $100 million budget or a $50 million budget," and now you're running a brand of your own, and you're starting on your own. That budgetary concern is incredibly important because that drives actually how to go about identifying exactly where you're going to be getting your sales from, where you're going to eventually become profitable from. And it's completely different from a situation where you start out with a giant budget. So if I were the first place, I always start with figuring out where I'm going to go with a brand, is figuring out exactly where that brand is. Where is it starting from? Are there investors involved? Are there is there a pot of money that is budgeted for this, or is this something that we're bootstrapping together to push forward? And then from there back into exactly where we go, because that has a lot to do with it.
100%.
That's the general thing.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. And I'd like to ask Rob to kind of speak a little bit about your way, because I think you've done a really successful job on identifying your niche and be able to actually create the product that truly speaks to your customer and solves their needs. I'd love to, if you can share some of the thoughts behind of how you were able to actually do that. It's, especially as the first steps of identifying where you're going to focus your product with.
Well, my product came from my wedding day. My shirt looked terrible. I mean, I got married on the beach in Jamaica, and I hate wearing ties. And so all these years of not wearing a tie and your shirt would, do this or do that. I hated the asymmetry. So I got married. I came home. I cut open a shirt. I shoved a piece of cardboard in it and showed my new bride. And she totally instantly got what my frustration was and what the solution was. So I spent the next 3 years, developing the product, patenting it, and doing all that. In the meantime, the whole time in that process, we thought we were going to make our own shirt. So I did a Kickstarter. I thought this is a free way, basically, to go out, put the product to the market, and see what people's feedback would be. People that were actually going to give me money and buy the product. And we did not reach our goal, but we got unequivocal feedback of, why are you trying to compete with all the other brands? And why can't I upgrade the shirts I already own? So in the middle of designing this whole product, I listened to the customer. I pivoted the company and went from a shirt to an aftermarket upgrade that can be added to any shirt. And then we wanted to go the licensing route. Well, the licensing route has turned out to be, number one, insanely complicated, and two, not fruitful, because we haven't gotten any licensing in 7 years. So we decided to make our own shirt and just prove to the market that I have 50,000 customers that have bought my product and found a tailor to install them, which is not the easiest thing in the world to do. And so we said, well, let's just make our own shirt and prove that a brand can be built around the technology itself. And so now we've come back full circle to making our own shirts. It took several iterations to figure it out, but we've kind of got it hammered down now. And that's where we're at.
And I think what you brought up, a really fantastic point that I really kind of want to share with this group, is that sometimes when we do create a product initially or have a product idea, it might not be necessarily exactly what we're going to end up with, because the market and the customer is what's going to help us to understand what their truly need is. And your example is a perfect example of that. And if we look at about how can we conduct the effective market search to understand your target audience, I mean, you went the Kickstarter route, and that is a great option. To your point, it's a great free option. However, it is not always going to work unless you are truly solving somebody's problem. If you're just introducing a product to a market that is potentially a little bit better than everybody else's, that is not necessarily the right place to start in a Kickstarter. So can anybody share other successes that they've had in conducting their market search to understanding their target audience before they actually jump in and start developing the product? Maria, do you mind sharing a little bit of that? Because I saw your product, so I am sure you've done some work there.
Yeah, like Rob, I started with a concept that would cater only to women that were in their 60s, because that's where you begin to lose mobility, things of that nature. And I identified 3 markets. But at the end of the day, a few years later, the consumer identified what that bra was for, and it's an arthritis bra.
Mm-hmm.
And it really has helped me a lot. But do me a favor, I have so many things in my mind. We're getting ready to launch a new product. So would you mind repeating the question? I am so sorry. I apologize.
Yes, of course. How can one conduct effective market research to understand their target audience?
My background is in intimate apparel, and I conducted a lot of market research through going to Europe, going to Asia, Latin America, doing comp shopping, reading articles, and as well as access to some of the trend books in industry. And those are very expensive, but that's how the concept and the idea came. Now, what I do is I also try to keep up with the trend and forecasting services that sometimes they'll throw, a few freebies there, and I gravitate to that. Now, I'm not a fashion driven company, but that's the way that I keep up with market. And number 2, I listen to my customer more than anything. The feedback comes directly. Hey, I love your product, but do you think you could make it easier for us to use by doing this? So all ears, and it's been very helpful.
And yeah, I think that's a very important point. Part of one of the chapters of my next book is exactly what Rob and Maria just said. Is a lot of times you meet founders and they've identified a problem, they've identified how they're going to fix it, the solve for it, and they want to do it that way. And the most important thing that they miss a lot of times, and you guys clearly haven't, is don't substitute your own ideas for the markets. Don't just assume that whatever you think is going to work is going to work, is going to be okay with the market. You have to hear back from the market to really understand what the product is and make adjustments. Like Rob has, for example, has made a couple of adjustments and because of what he's heard back from the market, and ultimately went with the product that he's not going with.
Sean, you brought up a great point. And I think another thing that I would just really want to add, especially as we started to think about, well, obviously we can create a product, and when we do conduct some of the sales or potentially reach out to the customer, they can give us the feedback. And that is a great way to go, but it is more costly because now you're already sitting on some sort of a product potentially already produced. So for trying to understand your target audience and conducting surveys through your target audience customer base, whether that's just utilizing the prototypes or even involving them in the initial design process when you're actually designing the process and idea, and gathering that information from them could be very helpful and can help you save thousands of dollars in investing in a product that you might have to pivot later on. So I think that's something that's also important to say, that starting that market research ahead of time and really spacing it to your customer ahead of time as you are developing your product will really help you to succeed. The next piece of the information I think is really going to be important to address before we really dive into marketing is the designing aspect and the sourcing of your product itself. You know, when we design products for a private label or house brand, we focus on quality, innovation, and uniqueness. We want to create authentic products that truly serves the customer's needs. Creating another product that's just sustainable or creating another variation of a product that is potentially patent to some sort, but if it does not truly addresses the needs of the customer, it most likely will not work in the market. Sean, do you want to kind of add to that? Because I know that is always a pressing topic that we constantly discuss before we kind of bring in some of the speakers into our group as well to talk about it. I believe we lost Sean, so we'll give him a second to rejoin. Meanwhile, anybody wants to kind of jump in on that and share any kind of insights that you guys had from your personal experience or potentially feeling that there's a challenge there?
Basically, I just want to share. I agree with Rob, Sean, and Maria. What we've done with our company, basically, we started a Kickstart, and we did really well. We actually got 3x our goal. And we started to actually make surveys and reach out to our potential clients and potential customers, and we started our product initiated by what they were actually asking instead of our product launching out first. So that helped us a lot, and we always do like once a month reach out to our customers asking for opinions, what they feel, how our product is, how everything about it, and we get so much feedback that helps us either pivot in a certain way to meet their needs, or either stay as we are because it's meeting their needs and just improve as we're getting along.
Thank you, Rodrigo. I really appreciate that feedback. And just so that everybody kind of a little bit knows, Rodrigo actually produces chino pants, and they doing a really well towards direct to consumer. And his goal is to transfer into wholesale private label aspect. Rodrigo, did I capture it correctly?
100%. Yes, you did.
All right, perfect. Sean, do you want to add anything to that before we kind of dive into questions?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
Perfect. And look, really, I wanted to kind of ask the question to our group and to Sean, to you really, what are some strategies do you think would be for designing the product that resonates with your target audience?
Well, I think we've touched on a lot of that. Is really hearing from the audience, really hearing from your market, and what I initially started with was the important part of how you actually go and obtain that information, because it has a lot to do with what your means are, what your budget is, and how you can do it. So you can't always go and do the belts and suspenders type of a look at the market. And so you have to put together something that makes sense for the budget that you have. And, I think we've largely covered that.
Perfect. But I do want to bring up, Sean, something that's completely in our wheelhouse. And we often also kind of steer some of our clients towards that strategy, is that if you are not really sure what to design, or kind of want to get into the fashion industry, but still kind of unsure where would be that perfect white space, can we work backwards in, for example, going and analyzing some of the third-party platforms like Amazon that we often work with and see where there is a high searchable items that are potentially have the lowest competition, and seeing how can we bring a better product that can really be able to reach that customer.
Well, of course, we do that on a daily basis. So we have an entire team that goes through and does exactly that. Which is probably a kind of a low-cost way of finding out exactly what people are looking for. But you have to also be careful exactly where you're looking. I hear from people all the time, and one of the challenges that I hear from small and medium-sized businesses is the sales channels. 20 years ago, you'd have to basically have some sort of a brick and mortar store if you wanted to start a brand, even if you were online. But today you can be international from day one. With that comes certain challenges. And so when you're looking to actually target and figure out what your target audience wants, who that target audience is, it is incredibly important and incredibly beneficial to actually check those sales platforms. But you have to be making sure that you're looking at sales platforms that you can actually service, or you want to actually service, because different shoppers are on different platforms, and the same shoppers act differently on different platforms. So when you're testing and when you're looking at data, you have to have some sort of expertise at actually being able to draw from that data something that's meaningful for your brand.
Perfect. Thank you, Sean. This is a great insight. Does anybody want to add anything before we move on to the next topic?
Yes, as typical of a small business, having access, having that extra warm body to do that research online, and having someone who really does have the expertise, because it requires that, and to be able to sort through the data and make it viable information so that you can make some critical and strategic decisions. I know that there are many services, but and I'm only bringing this to the table because I'm not sure if any of you have had that, where various services are constantly contacting you with, I can do this and I can do that, all kinds of promises, but sometimes the deliverables are not there. How do you, kind of, go search? How do you find the right service to really give you what you need? Because, at first I thought, okay, if I get a younger person, they know all about technology, but they don't understand the product. They want to convert it into a sexy, fashionable product. I'm not competing with sexy, fashionable product because I don't want a Me Too product. Victoria's Secret does a great job. Okay. I want to cater and do something that will benefit the life of a female. So there's, and I'm not sure, again, those are some of the issues that I have as a small business owner.
And Marie, I think you bring up a fantastic question, which I am sure a lot of us are kind of having the same wheels turning in our mind. Sean, do you want to address that first, or you want me to kind of go first?
Go ahead. You're the leader here.
So one of the things I kind of want to say to the group, and again, my goal is not to sell any services to you guys on this call or anything else. If you guys, something that I just want to leave you with a food for thought as we are going through this is, to your point, Marie, it's hard to find through the noise of all of the different people that are reaching out to you, providing the services, is who do you really go with? And the couple of things that I constantly advise my clients, whether they're future clients or past clients, is to take a look at the experience of the leaders that you're planning to hire, to making sure that they have a diversified experience, not only in the e-commerce market, but as well as in the wholesale market. Somebody who has a successful track record creating product into the various type of the niches and customers, because that's how will help you to identify whether that particular person that you're about to hire can really understand your customer needs versus just creating a template type of a service and try to fit everybody through that. A lot of times when we see people who are reaching out, often they are branding marketers and not necessarily the actually fashion experts who understand not only the design, the product development, how to create the product, an assortment that will convert with your customers and resonate to the customer. And so I think it's really critical to look back to their experience, looking at the testimonials of different clients that they have served, to see if they are actually be able to do just that. When we partnered up with Sean, what I think was really a beautiful part of our partnership is that I was always able to be very transparent with anyone who I work with, is that marketing is not my specialty. I know enough to make a damage, but I would never want to take something and say, hey, here's what you're going to do. So we partnered up with Sean, who is the expert in that industry. And so I think whomever you're going to hire, you want to be able to see that, can they be fully transparent and ask them that question? what is truly your expertise, and out of all of the things that you're saying you can do, what is that true expertise that you truly know, versus what is there something that you wouldn't be able to know and be able to bring the right resource to help you address that need. And I think that will really critically help you to identify who's the person who's just creating a beautiful picture, but in reality, they're really just trying to retrofit you into one path, versus creating a very unique path to your business, trying to understand your customer and delivering the product with the marketing strategies that is truly serving your customer needs.
I think what I would add to that, and this is it's difficult. This is an age-old problem. Different vendors come at you offering different services and trying to differentiate themselves from other people that are doing the same thing. And one of the first places I look at personally when I'm looking at a vendor, and also is just the way I am, is can I make any area where it's incentive based? Meaning you accomplish something for getting something. I personally, and no, in terms of the way I work with people, if I joint venture with someone, it's always going to be tied into what I bring into the venture, always, without question. And that's for two reasons. One is it's easier for the other person to actually stomach something like that, where they say, okay, well, you're not going to get paid unless you produce this result, for example. At the same time, for me, I have confidence in what I'm going to do. And I do not want to have a situation where I'm just taking in money for example, in terms of a retainer. I've never done anything like that. And so what I look for in vendors are people I can build into my system that I can make somewhat incentive based. Now, look, Ye mentioned something. I completely differ in this. I have never, ever watched a single testimonial. I have never phoned a single person to ask them their opinion about any product. And for this reason, I don't put any reliance on those things. What I do is I use other factors for judging things, and it's just me. And to me, they could be putting anyone in front of me. They could be just putting someone who just knows them in front of me. I have no way of judging any of those things unless it's something completely verifiable. I have no way of judging what a testimonial is, what a video says, who is sitting behind that video, why they did it. So I don't tend to rely on that, but I do tend to heavily rely on incentive-based type arrangements. And myself personally, I rarely, if ever, get into a business venture that's not like that. So that's also something to consider when you're picking someone.
And I think that also goes to apply with a little bit of how do we pick our partner in manufacturing as we're building our supply chain. Because one of the other big factor before we actually start really focusing on marketing is to making sure that your supply chain is not only reliable, but also scalable. And where we see a lot of times where companies and brands, they focus so heavily on the marketing and getting the momentum of sales, but they fail at the moment when they have to scale that sales and bringing the production in time. Sean, you want to, you have that often, almost on a daily basis, that challenge.
This happens. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I mean, this is a common thing, and I think Vlad started when I joined. Vlad was talking, and he has a lot of experience in this area. But what ends up happening? Look, I use a quote by Eisenhower. Years ago, General Eisenhower said, wars, campaigns, and battles are largely won on logistics alone. And I think businesses are that way too. Your supply chains, where you're sourcing stuff, how your logistics work will make or break your business. And I've watched this happen over and over with picking the wrong logistics partner, the wrong manufacturing partner. Ye and I just worked on a project where all of those things were true. And so it's incredibly important, and it's not something that's immediately visible to the business. It's something in the back end of the business. It's not the sexy part of the business. It's not the sexy part of getting the sales. But at the same time, it will make or break your entire business.
So making sure that we're absolutely ready. Anybody wants to jump in on that thought before we move on to the next thought? Phoenix, I'd love to hear some insights from you, my dear. You're on mute.
I think you're muted. Oh, there you go.
I totally agree with Maria about navigating and trying to find the right things and knowing your demographic. Being a small batch producer of upcycle fashion is one of a kind. It's really tricky for me to connect with the right people. And you're right, there's a lot of vendors, and like, hey, we can do this, we can do that. And they all start because they are packaging you as they would everybody else because they're not understanding the brand, call out for the purpose of what I do. So do you have anything to contribute to connecting with, it's being great on LinkedIn because it's some really amazing environmental fashion people and sustainability designers, but trying to find a platform to connect, to find the perfect vendors, to expand such a small company. That's my struggle right now. But listening to all, I'm so inspired, a little terrified because I am just me and my business is very small. So any advice on that? Lord.
So I think to your point is, obviously there is a lot of plethora of vendors out there that you can, different platforms that you can start searching for. However, where a lot of times I try to steer clients into where we work with a certain suppliers that we have tested over the years. So making sure that whomever you are going to work and ask for that founding to help you found and source is to make that connection, is that they will put their personal reputation on the line when they are actually making that introduction and help you hold your hand all the way through the process of development or whatever you're trying to solve. I think that's going to be a very critical piece because there are a lot of noise out there. I mean, network events just like this one is perfect. I mean, we have great suppliers even just on this call that often join our community to kind of really sharing the stories. So I think could be an opportunity in that aspect. But I also would love to just jump off later on to address that with you offline, because I think there are some great connections that we can introduce for you as well. Vlad, I know this is, of course, and Vlad, I know this is right in your wheelhouse. Do you want to add anything on the supply chain aspect of it?
One thing I want to say, yes. So everybody got disrupted, but COVID-19, right? So it was interestingly how companies moved from just in time to just in case, now going back just in time. And in addition to that, there is so much technology being involved in the supply chain, robotics, automation, AI capabilities. All I can say is that this is probably one of the most disrupting part of any business today, right? So my recommendation is that when you plan your supply chain, look into all possible options, because you won't notice how your business will get disrupted, and it will happen so quick just because somebody else has a better solution and they can go to market much faster and more efficiently. So for me, it's a new area, right? And what helps me today is that my technology background, but it's a learning, it's a day-to-day learning opportunity. What I see also is that there's so many new positions pop up in the market, which is actually supply management with a technology background. There is a technology supply chain product managers, project managers, and it's there's a big transformation in the skill set that's happening today. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to drop in 5 minutes. I have a hard stop, but if anyone want to talk about technology and supply chain and get some insights, I would be happy to connect with you later. But just to say it again, yeah, pay close attention to what's happening in this area.
Thank you, Vlad. And please go for share in the chat your information so people will be able to also reach out. And I also would kind of Vlad brought up a good point is always diversify your supply chain. Always have a backup plan in a different region, different country. A lot of times we focus so much solely on one place to manufacture. And to your point, COVID comes in or anything else that comes in, and then you are screwed. So make sure that you always have a diversity of 2 suppliers minimum at different regions so that you could be able to transfer depending on what's happening in the economy and the world. But I do want to kind of end our conversation today with with the pressing topic of kind of leveraging the online platforms, social media, or any other type of options of kind of create the awareness for your product. And Sean, I want to kind of start off with you as an expert. What is the best way to do? I mean, we hear every single day, hey, and you need to be on Instagram, and you need to be on Facebook, and you need to be on LinkedIn, and you got to be able to constantly create buzz and noise through social. But is the actual best way to actually create awareness for your product?
I think that time has changed a lot. There's a fashion brand, like I said, I have a lot of relatives with fashion brands. One of the fashion brands that I started with years ago, and we turned out to be pretty successful. We really got on Instagram in 2012, and the Instagram of 2012, where we were relatively rare in terms of marketing on there and running a business off of there, is quite different than the Instagram of today. If that same company did the very same things or even anything close to the same things today on Instagram, they would fall on their face. But there are largely, and the funny thing is, they've been largely unsuccessful pushing in on other platforms, because again, they've tried to do those same things in other places, and despite protestations by me, certainly, to avoid that, they've continued to do that. So look, ultimately what's happened with all these platforms is that they've discovered, after they got eyeballs on their websites, the investor said, we need money from those eyeballs. We paid you for the eyeballs before. They've discovered that they have to connect businesses to consumers. That's where the bulk of their money is going to come from. And they've created a patchwork of different business tools for all of us to use. So a lot of times people get very enamored with getting on social media and trying to go viral or create a lot of buzz around their product. And that may look, you can buy a lottery ticket too. That all may work. You may win at that, but it is the chances of that, you're not really increasing your chances by doing that unless you want to burn through a very large budget. What I would recommend is going to places where people are actually shopping and starting to actually get a market for your product and pushing with your product outwards. And also during that time, again, this is all related to budget, and I keep stressing this. But understanding exactly what your product is going to look like, how the market is responding to your product, and then from there venturing out. I always say to people, what I find with a lot of businesses is that they're on the wrong platforms for their business for that time, and not enough on the right ones. So a lot of times I look at, and I at least consider for any brand I'm looking at, does Amazon make sense? Because there I have shoppers that are actually shopping. I'm not on the periphery of anyone. I'm not competing for anyone with doing the best dances or anything like that. They're looking at my product. And I'm more comfortable trying to push a product and learning about the product and learning about the market in that environment than I am trying to, play around on a social media platform in order to get that. That's my way of approaching it, and I've seen enough people fail at the other side of it to sort of with limited budgets push for that.
Thank you, Sean. I think that's really bringing up a great point. And I want to kind of steer that now towards the wholesale and private label aspect and how does that apply? So often brands come into the market saying, hey, I'm going to go straight into wholesale. I'm going to go straight into private label and approach those retailers, and they all want to buy from me. Well, sitting from the other side of actual retailers, I will tell you that the buyers are not sitting there and waiting for someone to approach them and say, hey, buy my product. They get enough of that noise, same as we get a lot of noise of people trying to help us create services, anything else. They're getting hundreds of those emails a day saying, hey, buy my product, buy my product. It's kind of like you in the middle of a bazaar and everybody just shouts. How will you stand out? The best way to stand out in that particular approach would be is to, number one, have a data proven sales track record, whether that's through a third party platform, whether that's through direct sales, whichever way you were able to create that based on your strategy and budget. And only then create your sales pitch and approach a right retailer. It is not appropriate to approach every retail out there and hopefully somebody will buy in sticks. Same as we are in a direct to consumer, we need to understand exactly what our customer needs, wants, and where they're shopping and be on that platform for them. And that's how we'll know that we'll succeed. Same exact way happening on the private label and the retail side of wholesale. We have to have a very clear point of view of why we're approaching a particular retailer. Potentially, you've done the market research and you understood that your customer is specifically at that retailer, but that retailer has a void in a particular product that your product answers. You also have the data that shows that your product is sellable and that you do have good traction on the D2C side, and that your product is desirable by the customer that they're serving. That would be a winning strategy pitch to come to the buyer and having that conversation. It would never be okay or would actually be beneficial to send them the product from the very beginning. First, establish the connection with those retailers and buyers to understand their needs. When they're going to start seeing you as their potential partner, because you're, again, not interested in just pushing a product into their throat, but you're actually truly trying to serve their needs and helping them win some of the challenges that they're experiencing, they will be more inclined to sit down with you at the table and listening to what you have to offer. When we cater the product assortment for approaching a specific retailer, it will never be the same assortment for every single retailer out there. So understanding their need and void and the trends that they're trying to kind of address that particular season will help you craft your assortment specifically catering to that customer's needs and to their customer needs and to that particular retailer. How do we create awareness, right? A lot of us are talking about, well, how do we create awareness in the wholesale side? Because, I mean, yes, we do have sales. I mean, Rodrigo, you would be a great example, right? Rob, you would be a great example. You already have sales, you have great traction. Now, how do we get the retailers to notice us? So try to be same places as where those retailers are. I mean, traditionally, we constantly hear sales reps, showrooms, as well as, doing any type of trade shows. Buyers and retailers actually have, outside of those trade shows, not just necessarily having a booth, but they actually go into different type of breakout rooms and as well as conferences where they talk about the upcoming trends, where they're talking about what's happening in the market and what's happening with the products and what's happening in terms of the sustainability aspect. Make sure that you are there. Make sure that you are there and potentially even be able to be as a speaker to present the knowledge of expertise that you are bringing with your product to those buyers. So they get to see you and get to acknowledge you, right? Reaching out to them as well directly to establish that relationship before you actually starting to pitch any kind of a sale will help you to succeed in that realm instead of just going straight into a cold sell online. Does that kind of make sense? Does anybody feel the same way or have anything to add to this?
Well, I mean, I can, unless anyone else wants to talk. What you were saying is incredibly important. Either you make that pitch, you actually tell them the problem you're solving for them, for the buyer, and how you're reaching somebody inside of their market, somebody who's walking into their retail shop in whatever fashion, or they're going to do it for you. It's their job to actually figure out how your product fits into their ecosystem. And so if you don't make that pitch, if you don't properly put that in front of them, they're going to do it for you anyway. And they may not see the benefits the same way you do. You know your product best. You know the needs it serves. You know the problems it solves, and you know how it fits, hopefully, how it fits into their ecosystem. So you're in the best position to actually put that together. That's another reason not to just shotgun pitches to various retailers, to actually tailor it for that retailer, because this is going to be a sophisticated buyer. It's not, and they're going to know exactly what their customers need, and so they're going to do it for you if you don't do it for them.
A very great point. Rodrigo, I know that you are kind of in that entering point of like, okay, how do I approach this? Is that resonates with some of you and helps you answer kind of some of the challenges that I know you're experiencing?
Yes. We've built a whole strategy and I'm working my way up on it, but it has helped me solve certain issues because like I told you at the beginning, this is a whole new world for me, like the wholesale part. So it's going to be a never ending learning curve for me, I guess. But I'm starting to understand how it works and how to put it together. So I'm working my way on it. So I'm pretty sure I'm a little confident I'm getting it. I still have a lot of work to do though.
Well, and we're really excited. So I know you and I are working together on some of those strategies. So I look forward to continue helping you access that market. Anybody else wants to add in before I just kind of go into our closing part? So I wanted to first of all start by thanking Sean by sharing your valuable insights and coming into this call and sharing your expertise around the marketing aspect of the D2C as well as into the private label aspect. This discussion hopefully provided a lot of value to every single one of you guys, and that we hopefully be able to create some ideas of how to create more visibility around your brands in the market and to hopefully to be able to succeed. But we also wanted to say that we don't want to just leave you with just stories that we've had. Sean and I have a one-stop solution of all of the services that can help you grow your business, as well as look at the end-to-end process behind the scenes, whether it's looking at your assortments and how efficient they are and recreating them or helping you tailor them towards a particular buyer or retail store. So we wanted to kind of offer a 30-minute call on one-on-one if anybody needs it. Anybody wants to strategize or brainstorm and we have not touched on a particular challenge that you are experiencing, we're here to provide that support for you guys. So just drop in the chat, whomever needs the link, Lisa and I will share it with you so you guys could set that up. Otherwise, I wanted to take a few minutes of this that we have at the very end to kind of get you guys a feedback for others who are thinking whether they should be joining this roundtables. So our goal is to grow our community and provide value. So if I may ask some of you guys just to kind of give your feedback, whether this was valuable, have you able to learn anything that you did not know yet, or potentially, hopefully sparked up some new ideas of how you're going to strategize and continue going around your brand. If that's okay with you guys, I'd like to start with Rob.
I mean, it's always valuable. I like having conversations and hearing what other people are up to. So, I try to participate in things like this that I can.
Thank you very much, Rob. We're really happy that you're here. And I look forward to continue having the conversation around your challenges as well. Phoenix.
Yeah, it's been great. I'm very shy, so it's really interesting listening to people because we move around a lot. But the input and I think the opportunity to be included in a roundtable with people that you're not familiar with and to be a little uncomfortable pushes you towards what you need to do. So thank you, everybody. And thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you very much. Saeed.
Okay, it's very insightful, and the platform you are making more conscious about fashion. It's very delightful. And I have question to Rob, like the collar he made. It's a very unique one. I really appreciate his approach, and this is a game changer. Like we mostly produce very like cheap shirt here, like around 20 cents we see for a shirt. That's the differentiate you are making, Rob. And from Bangladesh, we are literally uh, seeing that it's a very unique approach. Thank you. And I am like here I'm struggling with like promoting circular fashion. It's quite challenging here. So these are my tools, and I am trying to educate all my uh, friends, all my colleagues, trying to promote these things, uh, like these are not things we should done, because around 30 years we have been passing, we are making garments industry. So we are only dependent on garments industry, but we are not making any innovation, we are not making any kinds of change in policy making. Some sort of things we should change, and we should think broad, actually. Since here we see is a lots of buyer as well, might they should think like I was talking with Maria. She has a very unique dresses for the old lady. She was telling about she made dress for the lady, for the women. So that's the feel that should be like the giant bands. They don't feel like it. They think we have cheap labors, they have the all kinds of process, they can do everything, but it shouldn't be. So that's the process, that the mindset we think start from your platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Save. I really appreciate that's really valuable insight. Rodrigo.
Yes. Well, this was my first roundtable. I really enjoyed it a lot. There was a lot of very good insights from everybody. Everybody shared very important points, either struggles or successes. I really enjoyed it. I think this is something everybody should hop on in. It's very, you learn a lot, even if it's a little different from your business, from everybody. So I really liked it. I would really recommend everybody to hop on. It's really important, and you learn a lot.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate, Rodrigo, for your valuable insight. Akansha.
Hi, just like Rodrigo, this is my first time attending a roundtable as well. I have chatted with Ye in the past, and this one was really insightful because I know that, Ye, we have talked about this in the past where suppliers is a huge problem for me. Like it's an obstacle that I'm facing right now. So hearing from everyone, hearing people who have already done it, like their expertise, it's great. So I'm going to be attending more of these because this was great for me. And somebody who's at like sort of the starting point in their business, it's insightful. So thank you for that. Thank you that I got the invite for this, and I will be attending more of these.